Right, sorry for being a few minutes late, but I am now on stream. Happy birthday to my dad, both my dad and my brother, um, who is not saying that, not making a joke or nothing. He is my dad and also my brother in Masonry. So happy birthday to my dad, Harry Adamson. And all right, there we go. So let's give it a few minutes. Let's, as always, wait to see who joins. Thank you all for being here. Please hit that like button, that subscribe button. I did resend the items. I think I know what I did wrong before, so they should be all getting to you. I've got the tracking numbers as well, so we can follow. You can follow it and track it. It takes a little while to travel, but you'll get there. Give it a few minutes, see who joins. Thank you to everybody who's joined thus far. I hope everybody is having an excellent day, and thank you so much for being here. Please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. Happy birthday to my dad. It might be kind of fun. I was thinking on this stream to talk about the importance of family connections. Now, the thing about that, and I've talked about this before, you do not within Freemasonry require, you do not require a family connection. Many Masons who are, especially in 2025, many Freemasons are first time, well, when I say first time, first in their family to join, which is awesome, by the way. I think it'd be really wonderful to see Freemasons kind of forging their own path in the craft and being the first of their family. And instead of continuing a family tradition, perhaps starting a family tradition, which I think is pretty awesome. Having said that, where is it? There it is. I also think that there's a lot of value, and a lot of Masons find a great deal of value and meaning in continuing their family traditions also. I should, by the way, I mailed you your stuff. I know it's your birthday today, and I mailed it today, but you should be getting it October 30th. I've got the tracking number, so I'll try to keep track of it. But congratulations. Happy birthday, 25 years old. Very impressive. So how far are the Blue Jays along in the World Series? Are they like at the top, or not at the top? Are they in the final series, or where are they in this current run? And I've been posting on the different social media sites. Happy happy birthday to my dad and our interview that we did together. So you guys can check that out. I'm going to send it to a few more spots, but tonight is game 1 of the final, best of 7 games. Okay, so there you go. You said Mom would be, I'm sure Mom's watching from up above, quite happy. I never got hugely into baseball. I do cheer for the White Sox. They're kind of my default team because I love Chicago so much. And that's the first actual baseball game I went to in forever. But yeah. Jocelyn, hello. Jocelyn, welcome back. Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. Actually, here, we're going to ask this as a poll question while we're waiting to see who joins. Do you have any Masonic family members? Well, not everybody, but a lot of people do, that's for sure. If they have Facebook, they do, that's for sure. Oops. Let me change that. Have you got a lot of birthday messages, Dad? Like a lot of people contacting you, sending you emails? By the way, I got in touch with my cousins, my family down in Halt Whistle or Newcastle, just sorting out the time for me to go see them. But should be very soon, hopefully. Well, I mean, I know it's going to be in the month, but I should have the final details of when I will see them very soon. In terms of, because I don't know if I'm going to right now spend a day in London or go right from London to Newcastle. I mean, I get in first thing in the morning on the 24th. I arrive in Heathrow like 6. So I'm thinking I'll probably have time to do a quick stop at UGLE just to check it out because it'd be so incredible and amazing to check it out and say hello. And then from there to check out, jump on a train, go up to Newcastle. I've got all that way the 24th, and then 25th and 26th in Edinburgh. So it'll be fun. Jocelyn, let me know how you're doing. Thank you for being here. Everybody take a few moments to wish my dad a happy birthday, by the way. He's 25 years old, so do a few hearts in the thing for him. And let's give it a bit of time. Let's see who says hello. As always, this first hour, no specific topics. Rather, it's just anything you want to talk about. Positive, negative, or neutral when it comes to Freemasonry? I'd love to hear it. I should. I mean, it said I'm supposed to get it with a week to go. I mean, I had to take the risk because if I didn't have a passport that expires, I don't want to travel overseas with this passport that expires within 6 months. It's too dangerous, I think. Duffman. All right. Well, let's just put you in a timeout. Really? It's your dad's birthday tomorrow. That's awesome. Everybody's dad's having a birthday. How's it going, James Dolan? How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. Sens fan. Ottawa Senators, I'm assuming. How's it going with you? Thank you for being here. Please take a moment, hit that like button and subscribe button. Let me know what's new. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral? I'd love to hear them. I'm doing good also. It's my dad's birthday. Wish happy birthday to my dad if you want. Otherwise, let me know how you're doing. If there's anything you want to talk about when it comes to Freemasonry, maybe you have questions, thoughts, whatever it might be. Well, I'm glad that you scrolled onto the channel as well. Things are going good. Got some exciting things coming up, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you, Sens fan. So this channel, this stream is all about Freemasonry. Do you have any thoughts on, I mean, we have different topics every day. I thought it might be kind of interesting to talk about Masonic connections with our families, hence the poll question. Interesting, 6 votes. Majority are saying yes, which is cool. I did not think we'd have as many people saying yes as we do. Unless you've been on the stream before, but I don't think so. I think this is your first time. Because I don't recognize your name off the top of my head. I cannot play piano. I wish I could. I cannot play anything to save my life. When I was a kid growing up, I had piano lessons actually, but never actually got too into it. I never had the patience to learn how to play piano. It is. I mean, I guess it wasn't infected. It was just there was a bunch of wax buildup or something. So I still have to go and get them cleaned out at some point. Maybe I'll start listening better. But it wasn't actually an infection. At least it looks like it. So there you go. Everybody's interested in my, or if it was, it's cleared up. So, I mean, it's obviously very exciting to be learning all this stuff about me and my medical issues. But no, everything is going well. So let's give it, as always, this first hour. We just hang out. We wait to see who joins, who wants to chat about Freemasonry, any thoughts you have, positive, negative, or neutral. Let me know if you have any family who are Freemasons. And also, I think there's a really interesting question there about, I think there's a really interesting question there about the extent to which, what's the word I'm looking for? Family can be a factor that promotes or encourages you to join Freemasonry versus potentially the idea that family can maybe hold some people back from Freemasonry, especially if they're concerned about joining. My cat's playing with something about joining. If they want to, they don't want to necessarily be in their father's or grandfather's or family's shadow. If it's a situation where, let's say, their father is well known within the craft, that type of thing. And by the way, the super chats are still available. So please take a moment to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know how you're doing. Do a super chat. And this first hour or so is, any discussions in general about Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral. I'd love to hear them. And then maybe we'll start talking a little bit about family connections within Freemasonry, right? Like how many Freemasons? Right. If you ask AI, there's no specific statistic, which there wouldn't be, but I figured why not check anyways, on how many Freemasons have direct family connections to the craft. But I did, out of curiosity, check, just so you know, Dad, and my passport application is still in review, but I'm sure it'll be finished shortly. That is true. However, in this case, we're talking about before you become a Freemason. If you have, for example, a father, a grandfather, whatever it might be, could be a father-in-law, right? Like how many people, and I've heard of this happening, right? How many people join Freemasonry because their father-in-law is a Freemason and they want to get closer or get connected to the father-in-law. So there's a lot of different ways, I think, that you can have these connections. Hello, Lon. How's it going? Lon, wish my dad a happy birthday. He's 25 years old, which is, I know you're thinking, how is that possible since I'm 42 years old? However, it's a whole other question, My dad went back in time, or he's aging in reverse, as I will start to as well. No, I'm kidding. He's not. He's much older than that. I'm just making a joke. Because who wants to get old, right? Um, so no, he is not. He is much older than I am because I am young and still full of life. But no, he is older than me. So I was just making a joke. But I hope everybody watching this is doing well. As always, thank you for being here. Please take a moment to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. No, no, Lon. Actually, my mom passed away about, a year and a half, almost 2 years ago now, which is crazy to think how long it's been. It's crazy for me to say that. I used to always think that if anybody ever says, like, my mom passed away, I used to think they had to be really old, and now I'm saying that. So I guess that means I'm really old, but let's try to pretend that's not the case. That's okay. I appreciate that, but she was ill. She had been in quite a lot of pain and suffering for quite a while. So I think it was kind of a blessing in some ways that she passed away and is no longer in pain. I'm sure she's up in heaven right now cheering for the Blue Jays. Very happy to see the current, the fact that the Blue Jays are, as of right now, I guess, in the finals. I think a lot do, but not as many in my personal experiences as you would think. Like I never really kept track of it. It would have been interesting to have kept track of it. But I can't really think right now I feel like the majority actually in my lodges don't have a family connection. Exodus 28. I don't know what that means. I know Exodus. Let me look that up. It's interesting. I've just got into this YouTube show called The Promised Land, which is actually about Exodus. Remember the Sabbath day to keep holy. Isn't the Sabbath on Sunday, though? Gloria, it sounds like you live a fabulous life. I will not be envious, but it does sound like you have the ability to hit the like and subscribe button and maybe even give me a super chat of 99 cents. If you can, um, if you're able to um, have two housekeepers and an 87 square foot home immaculately, you can give me a 99-cent super chat. But Gloria, how's it going? Naomi Page, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. And in the 8 votes we have thus far, do you have any Masonic family members? Yes is at 88%, no is at 12%. My gratefulness, nothing else other than that. Although you will support me in my efforts to promote the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located. So there is that. And if you don't want to do either of those things, then I hope you'll just stick around and let me know if you have any thoughts, questions, comments on Freemasonry. Positive, negative, or neutral. I'd love to hear them. I can't play Happy Birthday. That would be a terrible idea. I cannot sing. I cannot play instruments. I don't think you want me to, um, I don't think you want me, for heaven's sakes, to be playing or singing any music. I assure you of that. Hello, Naomi. How's it going? Thank you for being here. I hope you'll take a moment to hit the like button if you've not done so already. Wish a happy birthday to my dad. He's 25 years old. Let me know how it's going, how you're doing, and if there's anything you want to talk about when it comes to Freemasonry. Any thoughts you have? I do have some interviews coming up. Next one actually coming on the 28th. I hope to release that on Sunday. I guess it'd be November 2nd. Play Ken, birthday, happy. I have no idea what you're saying, Jocelyn. I mean, the interesting poll question as well could be, do you think that having a Masonic family connection makes you either more likely or less likely to join Freemasonry? I'm not always sure it makes somebody more likely. I think probably on average it does, but I think a lot of it would depend on, amongst other things, how connected you feel to your family, if you had a good relationship with your family or not so good. I think all that stuff can impact it as well. Or if you're a super independent person and want to kind of move out on your own, if that makes any sense, and focus on your own kind of future, whatever term you want to use, as opposed to the history and the past. It's kind of a sad statement in some ways, but it's interesting. One of the times I find that very often we as Freemasons attract newer members is actually after Masonic funerals. So A Mason passes away, let's say he's a father, he requests a Masonic funeral, his son sees the Masonic funeral, and then becomes interested in joining Freemasonry. Actually, that's happened on a few occasions. Gloria. That's all I need is snacks. I got my Smarties. That's perfect. You know, what more do you need than Smarties, right? Well, I don't eat just Smarties or just snacks. Don't worry. I have proper food as well. Thanks in large part to Mr. Keeps, who sends me proper food. But you're not wrong. I'm always bugging Masons about the importance of keeping their health and well-being. Um, it's one of those things of like, do as I say, not as I do, because I definitely could do a better job at I definitely do a better job at eating healthy. That's one of my, I would say, my biggest issues or challenges is not eating as healthy as I should. I drink a lot of water, and I exercise, at least I try to, but eating healthy, that still eludes me. But thank you to everybody who has joined us so far. Thank you to everybody who took part in the 24-hour live stream as well. We're just going to hang out here. We're going to wait to see who joins. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope everybody is doing very well. Oh, I'm starting to hear that. So you obviously probably have even more of a, I don't know what the word is, even more of a personal or emotional kind of connection or feelings towards some of these things, which does make a lot of sense to me. I can completely understand how that would be the case. I think a lot of us, we unfortunately, if we see family members affected by something, we are more likely to kind of recognize how dangerous it is and how harmful it is. Same thing with, like, if, you know, heaven forbid you had a parent pass away from cancer, lung cancer, you're probably not going to be a smoker, or you're less likely to be a smoker. That's probably very smart, Lon. So I think, like everything, probably, I mean, I'm not a doctor, but probably moderation is key for most things in life. But if you have kids who are eating their vegetables and not eating candy, then hey, good for you. You're doing better than most parents, that's for sure. Okay, so you need to be even more careful then. That makes sense, right? And it's understandable why you'd want to be careful for you and for your kids. A lot of Masons have actually a lot of Masonic charities have actually donated and given money and given items to diabetes associations. I know, even in my 10 years here or so, the Diabetes Association of Canada, we've donated money to them in the past. When I say we, I mean Masonic lodges. I think they've also done so in United Grand Lodge of England. What would you say, Lon, is your kid's favorite snack? Like if you had to pick a favorite snack for your kids, what would it be? Just out of curiosity. We're just going to give it a bit more time, wait to see hello, and then we will chat about Freemasonry. And what I might do is play my dad's interview. Actually, you'll hear it over the speakers. He did one way back in the day, near the start of this stream in 2021. So it's been a while, but he still is still there talking about it. So yeah, it might be kind of fun to review that interview once again. Bananas. Okay, that's a healthy snack, that's for sure. I always kind of debate about whether or not we in Freemasonry should try to have um, healthier snacks at our Masonic Lodge meetings. I never actually I don't know how much I'll actually succeed with it, because I think most Masons, one of the things they love about going to Lodge is they're able to go to Lodge and eat unhealthy food or foods that their doctor would not approve of. So no cereals. Well, I know they're trying. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of RFK Jr., but I understand he's trying to change cereals, or make them healthier, if I recall correctly, or change the glyphosate. But yeah, I think many Masons, they actually to prefer to go to Lodge because they get to eat unhealthy food. That they can't get at home. Porridge for breakfast. That's a good English meal. One thing I'm looking forward to maybe is I'll get to have some British food while I'm in England. Try some good, English breakfast once again. Eat it, I don't know. I think England lately in the last few years with Gordon Ramsay and stuff has been really known for food. So I'm looking forward to maybe giving it a shot, trying something different, trying some British food. Whenever I travel, I like to try the food of wherever it is I'm at. Wheat porridge, and I love grits. Friend of mine once got me grits. I love grits. Grits, in my opinion, are some of my favorite foods ever. So I haven't had them for so long. One thing I miss, I haven't been to the South, American South, in years. Since probably I was in Texas 3 years ago was the last time, I think. But I loved going to the local Denny's and getting grits for breakfast. Grits with cheese and hot sauce. That is absolutely where it's at. That's the question though, Lon. What do you have with your grits? Do you have cheese and hot sauce, or do you stick um, to butter? Some people put sugar in them, but I think that's too sweet. What is your hot sauce? Sorry, not your hot sauce, but what is your What is your typical grits topping?
Do you have anything to add before we
Oops.
hear?
Sheep, bro. Sorry that just jumping on here quickly. Sheep. Yes, it's sheep intestines. But I mean, I've tried haggis before. Now, I've never tried official haggis, quote unquote, meaning like haggis that was made in the haggis actually made in Scotland. I was told that the haggis I've had is pretend haggis or like not real, but we used to have a few um, special and a few fun Saint Robbie Burns nights at the Windsor Masonic Temple, and they would serve haggis as part of the Robbie Burns night, and a Mason would make it. It was really good. It was like a really thick meatloaf, is how he made it. I don't think it was exactly a traditional recipe. Smokey the Clown, Smokey, I remailed your item, so you should get it shortly. Um, I like grits with just about anything. Oh, fish and grits is amazing. Shrimp and grits is amazing as well. I mean, I love shrimp and grits. Probably the best grits I ever had, shrimp and grits, was I think it was in Louisville. And it was probably like 20 years ago. Something crazy like that. Oh, grits. I support grits 100%. I don't think I do, but I have some family members that are shrine members. No worries. Well, I mean, if you have some brothers who are shrine, or sorry, you have some family members who are shrine members, then they would have to have been Masons at some point, because to be a Mason, you must first be a shrine member. Sorry, to be a Shriner, you must first be a Mason. So you must have some place, some type of family member who was a Mason to then become a Shriner. Either spirit, either. But that brings up an interesting point as well, I think, and it's worth asking the question. We're going to talk about family in a second. Spirit, it's what, 2 days, 1 day till you prove your proficiency? How many days till the big day? I think it's 2 days, if I'm not mistaken. Awesome. Well, congratulations. You'll have to let me know how it goes. Um, let this chat know. I have no doubt it's going to go awesome. And keep up the great work. Already preparing a post elevation speech. You mean post raising? Never heard it described as an elevation before, but I guess you could. He was probably the most famous Masonic poet of all time. It's interesting to think what that if that makes any difference. Like I've known some Masons who their dad was a Mason, but they didn't join until after their dad passed away. And I'm wondering if they joined because they wanted to feel closer to their father, closer to their, um, closer to that family connection upon the dad's passing. Or I know in one case, it was actually, I've talked about this before, it was specifically thanks to the Masonic funeral service. We held the funeral service. We went to visit the dad while he was in the hospital and was passing away. And that really touched the son, and he decided to join as a consequence of that. That makes sense. I mean, honestly, that does make a lot of sense. I was thinking that, yeah, different language. I mean, elevation, it's a synonym for raising. I guess technically the synonym would be, um, an elevation would be not a raising. It'd be to raise someone, to elevate someone. But still. So I'm guessing you are super excited. Yeah, well, you had, poor mom, right? It was your dad and your father-in-law were both Freemasons. So, and then, your son became one. That's also the interesting question. Everybody, I think, when they get that question, assumes, um, assumes when I say that, the implication is it's like a father, it's a previous generation, a father or a grandfather who was a Mason, and then the grandson or the son joins. How often are we seeing, I can think of two examples on the top of my head, the opposite happening where you have a son join Freemasonry first, when he's in his 20s or whatever it is, and then the father joins after the fact, maybe to get closer to the son. Well, it's razzed. It's I don't know how to spell it actually. Yeah, Razed. That means to completely destroy. Interesting you bringing up Carthage. I, was a classics study for many, many years. So, and I always really enjoyed discussing classics in history. I loved the Phoenician, or not the Punic Wars, I should say, between, Carthage and Rome. I would say if you want to talk about pivotal moments, the most important moments in um, world history, I think you have to look at especially the Second Punic War as being one of the most important and most pivotal moments in history. Hannibal was kind of, it's interesting, Hannibal Lecter, geez, Hannibal Barca, um, one of the things that he did, and a lot of people know this story, is when he was passing through the Alps, he used vinegar to melt the rocks to allow him and his army to pass through the Alps and make it to northern Italy and then Italy proper. Kind of an interesting thing because in Mesoamerica, the theory a lot of people have is the way Mesoamericans were able to kind of join stones together was by melting the stones with acid and then putting one stone on top of the other. And they kind of melt into each other. So it's kind of really interesting. He did. Well, I don't know if it was vinegar like you and I would have, but it's the same base as vinegar. And he used that to melt the rocks to allow his army to pass. So there's all sorts of different examples of stonemasonry. Sometimes it's used to destroy rocks in order to get your elephants across the Alps. Let me just double check. Hannibal, vinegar, rocks. The Hannibal vinegar rock story describes the Carthaginian general Hannibal using fire and vinegar to break large boulders blocking his army paths during the crossing of the Alps. Ancient sources like Livy recount this tale as a display of ingenuity. Its historical accuracy is debated among modern scholars. So I guess there's some debate as to whether it happened or not. Um, Welcome, Jake. How's it going? I do not know what are you trying to say, Tubi? As people may know, Tubi is um, one of my favorite streaming services. Maybe the best streaming service. Certainly the best free streaming service, in my humble opinion. But Jake, how's it going? Thank you for being here. I hope you'll take a moment to hit the like and subscribe button. Tubi TV is awesome. Well, toddlers are usually gross because they still have diapers. So I do not know to what you are referring. I mean, kids are awesome, but I do not know what that means. So Jake, Tubi's great. Tubi is absolutely, as I said, the best free service. All right, I think we need to put Jake in a little bit of a timeout. Another 13 minutes, and then we'll start chatting about today's question. I think it's going to be Masonic Family Connections. I think there's a lot of interesting things to talk about because it's my dad's birthday. Once again, happy birthday, Dad. I love you. I sent your stuff. You should get it soon. Actually, you should get it October 30th, is what they're saying. And the crucial role of family in Freemasonry as well. Right? A lot of people don't realize how important Freemasonry is, how much it relies on family connections. I hope everybody is doing well. Thank you again for being here. We're just going to give it a bit more time. We're going to see who joins. Please take a moment, hit the like, hit the subscribe button. We're going to start talking about family and Freemasonry in another 10 minutes or so. I'm going to give another 10 minutes waiting to see who joins. Then please, as always, take a moment to hit the like button, to hit the subscribe button. And let me know if you have any family members who are Freemasons. I just want to wait, like I said, 15 more minutes or 10 more minutes, because I like to wait till an hour in to start on the specific subjects or specific topics. I'm going to give it a couple more minutes. Let's see. And Lon, thank you. I hope that you're doing well. By the way, everybody can also do a super chat of even 99 cents. Helps out big time and would greatly, greatly appreciate it. But I have an article here. I'm going to start with this one, The Crucial Role of Family in the Midnight Freemasons by Eric Grehern. I'm going to give it 5 more minutes. See if anybody else finds us. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know how you're doing, if there's anything you want to talk about. Thank you, Lon. That's incredibly kind of you. I forget, Lon, if you said above, do you have family members who are Freemasons? Any Masonic family members, either alive or dead? Either counts. "15 votes, 61% yes." More saying yes than I thought, as Freemasonry has reduced in just the number of people who are Freemasons. I feel like part of what that means is it reduces in the, it reduces in the, oh gosh, what's the word I'd look for? The family connections that you're going to see. But apparently, at least over half of the people voting on this stream would disagree. All right, I think I'm going to start now talking about this. I'm going to start. So we're talking about Masonic family members and why that matters to the craft. I'm sorry, Lon. That sucks. Very sorry to hear that. We talk about Masonic family connections and why they're so important. There's a lot of different connections to discuss. The first and the obviously, maybe the one that most people consider right away is having Masonic members in your family, specifically, a father or a grandfather or a great grandfather, and the extent to which new members are encouraged to or otherwise, you know, uh, um, decide to join because they have a family member who's a Freemason, right? And that was the case with me. I've talked about this before. The reason I joined is because my dad was a Freemason and my grandparents were. And I always assumed at a certain point I would join. Um, right? That was always kind of my thinking and my idea because I grew up with it. I grew up around it. I saw it. I went to Christmas parties at the lodge, things like that. So I always assumed sooner or later I would join. So that is kind of the first way we think of family connections in Freemasonry. It's a grandfather or father who are members or both, and then passing it down generation to generation on the son's side. It's also, or the fraternal side, or the paternal side, I guess I'd say. It's also worth pointing out that when we talk about family connections in Freemasonry, we can also discuss it in the other sense, the sense of um, mothers being part of Freemasonry, and then their daughters joining. For example, Order of Eastern Star is one of the most common examples of that. In fact, when you talk about family connections in Freemasonry, the Order of Eastern Star is a really great example of that because in order to become a member of the Order of Eastern Star, you also need to have a mother. You need to have a relative who's a Freemason. It can be your father, your brother, your husband, or your son, if I recall correctly. So that's an example of Freemasonry reliant on or requiring family connections on the maternal side of it, or a wife, mother, daughter, sister joining a Masonic body because they have a family connection within Freemasonry. Um, you also need to keep in mind, and I remember going to what was it? It was not a Masonic meeting. It was a presentation by a Mason, and I thought he said something really interesting and fascinating. So he was a Mason. His father was a Mason. His brother was a Mason, if I recall correctly. His grandfather was a Mason, and he said something I thought really fascinating. He said, I had always hoped to pass down Freemasonry to my sons, but he ended up having exclusively daughters. I think he had like four daughters, if I recall correctly. But he got each of them involved in the International Order of Rainbow for young women. It's a Masonic youth group for young girls aged, if I recall correctly, 9 to 21. And the point is, he said, I'm still able to pass down and pass on Freemasonry to my children through the Order of Rainbow. So again, it's not the type of situation where you always need to have, a son to pass down Freemasonry or to whom you can pass down Freemasonry. There are many Masons who find family connections and family continuation in Freemasonry through groups for women, whether it's the International Order of Rainbow, whether it's Job's Daughters, or whether it is Eastern Star, or whether it's all of the above. And then we should also not, if I'm going to mention youth groups, we should mention on the men's side, or the boys' side, I guess you'd say, the international, or what's the word I'm looking for? The DMOLA, which is a youth group for young men, young boys, aged 9 to 21. It's a Masonic youth group. And so that's another example of Masonry extending in family. I know actually a few people who never became Masons, but were DMOLA members. And then their sons were DMOLA members, and their grandsons were DMOLA members. So it's one of those issues and situations where you have your DMOLA acting as another form of Masonic family growth. So I guess my point I'm trying to make here is that when you first think of Masonic family connections, the typical thought of the grandfather's a Mason, the father is a Mason, the son becomes a Mason, and his son becomes a Mason. That is simply one of many ways through which Freemasonry can be passed down through a family. It can also be passed down on the mom's side through things like Eastern Star. It can be passed down to daughters through International Order of Rainbow. It can be passed down through youth groups like DMOLA. And that's just reminding people there's both the men's side of Freemasonry, but there's also a women's side of Freemasonry, which is equally as important and equally as valuable. Hey, buddy, Marco, how's it going? Europe Defenders, thank you for being here. Mr. Keeps, thank you for being here as well. And thank you for the heart smoky. So when you're thinking about family connection within Freemasonry, don't stop at the father's a Mason, therefore the son is a Mason. It could be the father is a Mason, so the daughter is a Rainbow Girl. Or the father's a Mason, so the daughter is Eastern Star. Or it could be the father was a member of DMOLA, so the son is a member of DMOLA, right? Or it could be the son is a Mason, so the mom joined Eastern Star afterwards. And I guess that'd be my second point. If my first point is it's not Masonic family connections is not exclusively father to son. I'd also argue it's not exclusively older generation to younger generation. By the way, Mr. Keeps, thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. I think another mistake that we have made often when we think about family connections within Freemasonry is we very often think of it exclusively in the sense of the older generation joins first and then the younger generation joins afterwards. And that, I would say that is the way it is the majority of the time, but that's not exclusive. And I can speak of my own experience of knowing at least two examples of a son joining Freemasonry first, and then afterwards a father deciding to join. Or I'm sure there are instances of a son joining Freemasonry and then the mom joining Eastern Star, or whatever it might be, right? It could even be in some cases, it wouldn't shock me if it's a son joins first, then the grandfather joins afterwards. I think sometimes there can be this idea that, like, if your families are really well connected, like being the first to do something, but then creating the family tradition backwards and forwards from there can also be a really special feeling. So what I'd say is first, never feel like, and I always tell this to people, never feel like you need to have a family connection to join Freemasonry. You don't. Also, never be afraid. If you join Freemasonry as like if you're the first in your family to be a Freemason, don't ever be afraid to talk to your dad about Freemasonry and how much you enjoy it or why you joined it. And you may actually end up convincing your father to join. I've seen it happen before. Or heck, your brother or your uncle, whatever it might be, right? Don't think that you need the family connection to join. And also, don't be afraid to talk to your family about Freemasonry and why it's important to you, why it matters to you, and why you think that they may enjoy it. Who knows? You may be the first to join and start the tradition. Also, never think that, what's the word I'm looking for? That um, you have to join, and this is for anybody who has a family member who's a Freemason. It is not required that you need to join the same Masonic lodge as whatever family member it is that you have. You can if you want to, and a lot of people may want to for family tradition, for history, whatever it is, but that's not a requirement, right? So, for example, I've heard some Masons, or not Masons, but some people talk about, you know, I moved from, well, let's use my dad as an example, right? I moved I'm from England to Canada. My dad is a Mason in England, but he joined in Canada. For me, my dad's a Mason in Winnipeg. I joined in Windsor. And I think, honestly, that can have some significant benefits and drawbacks as well. But I think for some people, joining a Masonic lodge to which your whole family are already members, they could have already been masters, they could have already been past masters, they could be well respected. I think the danger is some Masons may feel like they're joining in the shadow of their family, right? Like they're joining in their dad's shadow, their grandfather's shadow. They'll never be Cameron, right? They'll be Harry's son, or Dell's grandson, or whatever it might be. I think that can be. That's why I think in some cases, honestly, it can be better for a Mason to join a Masonic lodge to which his family's not connected. That doesn't mean, the beautiful thing about that is you get to then, you join in Winnipeg, you can then travel to England and join your dad's lodge and be brought in as your own Mason. Or your dad can come and visit you in Canada at your Masonic lodge. Or my dad can come and visit me in my Masonic lodge, right? One of my greatest and my most fond Masonic memories was when my dad attended my third degree raising. He attended it, and getting to bring my dad into my lodge, him receiving grand honors, all of these really incredible things and really amazing things that he got to do because he was visiting my lodge, and I could introduce him to my members. I think it would have been a different feeling if I had joined his lodge and then, gone through the degrees there. Also, because it was just a whole fun weekend. He came with my mom. They took they took a flight to Toronto, then took a train to Windsor. I took my mom out that weekend. My dad and we were driving back. I remember, one of the fondest memories I have is, so we had our degree. And then I traveled from, so we got my third degree. And then me, my dad, another Mason who's been on the channel before, named called Bon, and a couple others, we were driving from the Windsor Masonic Temple to the bar where I had asked my friends at the time to take my mom out for some drinks because obviously she couldn't attend the meeting. And so we're driving down the road, we're driving down Olette Avenue, we're at a red light, stopped, and pulls up next to us is the Cheetahs van. And if you're from Windsor, you might know what that van is. If you're not, it's a Windsor ballet van. They would pick people up. I mean, they wouldn't kidnap them, but they would drive around. They'd hand out free passes to the Windsor Ballet, otherwise known as the Rippers. They'd hand out free passes to it, and they would, they'd give people rides to it. So anyways, they pull up next to us. They see all of us in our suits and ties. They start talking to us. We start talking to them. They handed us a whole bunch of VIP passes to go to the Rippers. Now, we didn't go because my dad's a good boy. However, he thought it was hilarious. So did Bond. So did I. I still have it as a memento of that night. The point is, I could not have had that memory if I joined my dad's lodge. The fact that I joined in a different lodge, it gave my dad and my mom that trip. It gave us that moment, and it gave me a memory that I can keep forever. And it made me feel more like I was going out on my own path, which I really appreciated. WIJW. Sorry, I don't know what WIJW and WIDC means. Worshipful installed junior warden? Worshipfully installed director of ceremonies? I think. Or do you mean during in the master's part, you were the junior warden and then you were installed as the director of ceremonies? I think is what you might mean. I'm doing well, Wolf Shanza. How are you doing? Thank you for being here. Okay, took me a second. We say it a little bit differently. But welcome, Wolf Sanchez. Thank you for being here. So yeah, I guess that's my third point is if you have family members who are Freemasons, you do not have to join the same lodge as them. It's really up to you. You can, and you certainly should if you feel that that would be best, if you want to maintain the family traditions. Let's say every member of your family, every male member has been a member of that lodge since, the 1780s or whatever it might be, if you're in England, or who knows, then by all means join the same lodge as your family. However, I can completely understand as well if you want to join a different lodge in your family and kind of create your own path. And either one is perfectly acceptable, right? So I guess when it comes to kind of the general points I've tried to make so far, and let me know if this has made any sense. If it hasn't, I'll try to, go through it again. First, when we talk about family connections, don't think exclusively grandfather, father, son, and don't think exclusively paternal. You can think in terms of, a daughter getting involved and continuing the Masonic tradition through Rainbow or through Eastern Star. You can think of, or Job's daughters for that matter, right? You can think of a mother being an Eastern Star member and then her daughter being an Eastern Star member. You can think of Order of Women Freemasons. So there's a million different groups and connections and ways that you can think of these things. Don't think exclusively father to son. I don't think exclusively paternal side. There's a lot of ways that you can pass down Freemasonry. There's a lot of ways that father can pass down Freemasonry to his daughters. There's a lot of ways mothers can pass down Freemasonry to their daughters. And there's a lot of ways mothers can pass down Freemasonry to their sons, right? It's very possible to have a family situation where the grandfather was a Mason. He had exclusively daughters, all of whom joined Eastern Star. They then had sons, and the sons joined Freemasonry once again. I would consider that an unbroken chain of Masonic familial connections. So keep that in mind. The second thing, and I mentioned this before, don't think exclusively elder generation to younger generation, right? That's also not how it works. It can work that way often, and that's wonderful. But I've seen many examples, well, I shouldn't say many, I've seen 2 examples, but I'm sure there's more, of a son joining first and then the father joining after. And don't think if you are joining and you're the youngest, and you're let's say the first person in your family to be a Freemason, there's nothing wrong with talking to your father or your brothers or your uncles or your grandfather even about Freemasonry and how much you enjoy it. I think and I think that in some ways might be easier for kind of somebody joining Freemasonry to talk to because, you join Freemasonry, you may be nervous about mentioning it to your friends or how much you love it, or if your friends ask you questions, you may be very nervous about talking to them about it, which is perfectly fine. You don't have to, by any means, we're not out there evangelizing. You don't have to talk to anybody about it. However, if, your father or your grandfather asks you questions, the Mason may be more comfortable talking to the grandfather and father about it first, get some practice that way, and then if people in, his friends or coworkers ask him questions, he may be more comfortable answering. And Carl brings in a perfect example of this as well. I've been talking about those instances where a son joins first and then a father joins. A father and son can join at exactly the same time, which is a beautiful thing as well. And it's another example of this same idea. When I talk about Masonic family connections, don't think exclusive father to son or male side of the family exclusively, and also don't think exclusively elder generation to younger generation. The younger generation can join before the elder generation, or the younger and elder generation can join at exactly the same time. And that can create a really special memory as well. All of these things create special memories. And Carl, that's a beautiful example of a very special memory I'm sure you have with your grandfathers, as both mine were Freemasons as well, your 83-year-old father, and yourself. And by the way, don't forget to wish happy birthday to my dad. It's his birthday. He's 25 years old. Also, the third point I want to make before I go to the fourth point is, do not think that you're required to join the same Masonic lodge as your family, as Wolf Schanze says. Now, you can. Again, if you want to join the same lodge as your father, that's awesome. But don't think, or your grandfather, but don't think you have to. If you move for work, if you move for family, if you move for whatever reason, you can join a Masonic lodge in your new town or your new home. It does not have to be exclusive to your former town, just for because I think a lot of people feel they have to join with their family's lodge. And I think you can do that, but if you don't, it doesn't change the fact that you can have some really incredible moments, some really incredible opportunities, and some really incredible memories from having your elder generation or your dad or your grandfather visit you in your lodge. I've seen it a million times. It gives them a chance to travel, gives them a chance to see a new lodge. They get to be brought in with grand honors very often. That is kind of something that you need to keep in mind as well. So don't think it's necessary. And, there may be some men out there who move for work and decide to never even explore joining a lodge because they won't be joining their father's lodge. And you have to decide, how you want to proceed with that. In that case, I'm 100 years old. Welcome. We got someone else saying hi. Hello. I do not know what the quake is, but cool. So, those, I guess, would be my first 3 points. Don't think exclusively father to son. Don't think exclusively male side of the family. Don't think exclusively older to younger generation. And don't think you need to join the same lodge as your family to maintain those Masonic familial connections. My fourth point would be, don't think Freemasonry passes on exclusively through membership. Again, or Masonic family connections start and end with membership. Many of our Masonic buildings have been home to family functions for years, celebrations for years. The Fat Muppet, to be one, ask one. So if you want to join Freemasonry, what you need to do is find a Masonic lodge in your area and contact them and explain you're interested in becoming a Mason, explain you're interested in joining, and why they want to, why you want to join. According to Google, it's a pot, the drinking cup. Okay, Lewis jewels. Those, by the way, are a way to demonstrate your Masonic family connections. It used to be that it had to go from a father to a son. So if a son joined and the father joined after, he could not get the Lewis jewel. But now I understand it's changed a little bit, and you actually can. I don't know. I mean, I don't know enough about you, Fat Muppet. Do you believe in a supreme being? Are you of the correct age? If you're joining the fraternal side, are you a man? I mean, if those three check boxes are met, then you're kind of well on your way there. I mean, you should still talk to them and get to know them, and they get to know you. But if you meet those criteria and you're a good person and you're joining for, good reasons, then I don't see why they wouldn't. And you say give you the time of day. Well, I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't give you the time of day. Um, Again, I mean, unless there's something about you I don't know, at the very least, they'd want to talk to you. I mean, unless their membership is just bursting at the seams. If they're in the same situation as most Masonic lodges, they're looking for members. Um, but I mean, I would say you have to ask yourself that question more than me, right? What is it about you that you think would make you a asset to a Masonic lodge? And why should they give you the time of day? Exclusive international society. So it is a type of drinking cup as well. Keepers of the Quiet are dedicated to people who work, write, or evangelize about Scotch whiskey industry. Nice. The society receives applications for new members from all over the world to be inducted at the ceremony of induction twice a year at Blair Castle. Very cool. It says here it's a prestigious title to what you have. Looks like there's Keepers of the Quiet. You join that first, and then if you're successful within, you become a master. What would I gain? Honestly, nothing. The Fat Muppet. That's not why you should join Freemasonry. It's not about what you can gain. It's about what you can contribute, right? What you gain is the opportunity to make a better world or to fight for a better world or to build a better world through the application of brotherly love, relief, and truth. What do I know about the Holy Grail? Nothing. Nothing at all. I wish I knew more about it. I wish I knew where it was. I know they always say Freemasons know where it is. To my knowledge, we do not, unless somebody's keeping some secrets from me. So, yeah, I know nothing about the Holy Grail. Except, if I ever found it, believe me, you'll be the first to know. I'll take that as a compliment, the Fat Muppet, but I'm not a Templar. I'm not York Rite. I'm Scottish Rite. I have great respect for Scottish Rite. York Rite and Templars. I've actually been watching Kingdom of Heaven a lot lately to learn more about it, but I am not that myself. But thank you for that. I'll take that as a compliment. And don't forget, everybody watching this, you can take, you can um, do a super chat of even 99 cents would be much appreciated. So, well, royal jesters I know nothing about. Free gardeners I know a little bit about. I actually talked about them a while ago on it was like World Gardening Day or World Agricultural Day, something like that. So, I know a little bit about them. I mean, they are kind of a Masonic appendant body, although they're seriously reduced in numbers. Kingdom of Heaven, it's on Disney Plus. If you search on your, it's a really interesting movie. I like it a lot. It's about the Crusades. If you type into a search bar and you say Kingdom of Heaven, you should be able to watch it because you do have Disney Plus. So you can watch it on your TV. So, number 4, in terms of Masonic Family Connections. Don't think that the Masonic Family Connections All right, Jake. I think I'm going to have to put you back in timeout. Not that it's not wonderful to have you join. And thank you, Carl. That's incredibly kind of you. Actually, if I could find you now, I'll put you in timeout. This is proving, there we go. But it's still been fun to have you for the few minutes I did. All right, so don't think that Masonic Family Connections need to be exclusively about membership, right? Masonic Family Connections and Masonic Family Support can come in multiple different forms and multiple different ways. So, for example, you can absolutely have a situation where I'm going to read this article by the Midnight Freemasons, The Crucial Role of Family. Right. Last night was our installation of officers. After conducting the essential business of the evening, we adjourned downstairs to a reception graciously hosted and organized by the wives of our 3 primary officers. I felt immense gratitude towards my extraordinary wife of nearly 20 years, whose tireless efforts made this event truly exceptional. I would love to eat cheese and drink wine. I don't even drink wine, but that sounds incredibly fun. Oh, Carl. Thank you, Carl. I didn't realize it was 20. That's incredibly kind of you. Thank you so much. Last night was our installation of officers. After conducting the essential business of the evening, we adjourned downstairs to a reception graciously hosted and organized by the wives of our 3 primary officers. That'd be Worshipful Master, Secretary, Treasurer. I felt immense gratitude towards my extraordinary wife of nearly 20 years, whose tireless efforts made this event truly exceptional. I was equally appreciative of the hard work and involvement of the other 2 spouses. While my wife has always been a pillar of support in everything I pursue, last night held a unique significance. It symbolized the culmination of my journey to the East, and having her by my side last night filled my heart with an overwhelming sense of joy that words cannot adequately capture. So when I talk about that, right, I bring that up for 2 reasons. And this goes, 1, don't ever forget, and I think a lot of Masons, the Midnight Freemasons, The Crucial Role of Family. By the way, Apple Tree, wish happy birthday to my dad, whom I love very much, and it is his 25th birthday. When you have a Mason joining or applying to join, he's not joining exclusively by himself, right? Eric Grehern. Let me rephrase. He's joining as his own potential member, applicant, whatever it is, but he is not the exclusive person affected by his decision to join. If he has a wife, if he has kids, they're going to be affected as well. And the extent to which, I'm just kidding, the Fat Muppet, he's not actually 25 years old. I'm just saying that so he'll feel better about being so old. And that's more reflection on me, the fact that I'm terrified of getting older. I'm not happy at all about being as old as I am. So it's just a joke. He is not 25 years old. He's not Methuselah, but he's not 25. And so when we talk about family connections in Freemasonry, we as Freemasons need to be aware and concerned about how his joining will affect his family and to what extent his family will be supportive of his Masonic journey. And it's also very easy for the family to be supportive of the Masonic journey when when the applicant does not have kids, maybe he's not yet married, maybe he just has a girlfriend. Once the Mason gets married and has a couple kids, suddenly the family that was once upon a time supportive may start to be much less supportive. So it's important that we as Freemasons understand that if he is having struggles with his family, his Freemasonry is going to struggle as well. That means at the application stage, getting the chance to know not just the applicant, but if he's already married his wife, if he has kids and they have questions, especially if they're a little bit older, the kids can ask questions. If let's say he's 18 years of age in the States and still lives at home with his mom and dad, maybe the mom and dad have questions, or brothers have questions. You need to take that into account too, right? You are admitting a single person. However, the effects and the consequences of that affect people beyond just the applicant, and you absolutely need to keep that in mind. And I hope that us as Freemasons do so. Still assist me. There you go. That's a perfect example of Masonic family connections and how they can be of such benefit to everybody, but to the Masons in particular. So, while I'm not sure I'm such a fan of non-Masons learning the ritual, but we'll let that go. It's okay. Well, I mean, I'm assuming, because I've seen some guys, um, she shouldn't be telling your daughters the ritual. Having said that, you're not the first person who's relied on family members to help teach ritual. It's funny, actually, this might get me in trouble, but I think I'll be safe. When my goddaughter was very young, Eastern Star, all right. I'm not going to judge. We all kind of do that stuff. Unless you are, you're studying Eastern Star ritual, because, you do have to memorize that as well. When I had a goddaughter, when I had a godchild, I should say, I still do, but back when they were young, I used to babysit for them a lot. And so basically from the ages of 0 to 2, when I was babysitting, I'd practice my ritual and I'd recite it to my godchild. Once the godchild could talk or repeat words, I stopped doing it because, at that point, who knows what words I'll pick up and start reciting in class or whatever it is. So once they hit about 2 years old, or maybe 1.5, I stopped. But somewhere in the back of my goddaughter's mind, my godchild's mind, from when they were a baby, they probably still have the ritual in their mind. But I think 6 months old is okay. But yeah, so going back to that, the Masonic Family Connections, which is, there are many family connections which are not exclusive to members. I know you should not apple tree. I know many, many, for example, wives, mothers, sisters, even brothers of Masons who are not themselves Masons, but have still helped out and assisted Masonic lodges in a variety of ways, whether it be assisting with, preparing food after lodge meetings. In some cases, I know brothers, like literal brothers, members, family brothers, have shown up at lodge to help do repairs and do work on the building that needed to be done, whether it's painting or repairs. You should not, the Fat Muppet. I've known sons and grandsons who've done landscaping work at Masonic buildings. They're not Masons themselves, but they've done work on the building itself. The point is, it is very possible to create Masonic family connections without the necessity of membership necessarily. Um, and even if the building is a public space, like we used to have, and I think we still do sometimes, have weddings at the Windsor Masonic Temple. And many, many times it was, grandfather, people would say, like, my grandparents got married here, my parents got married here, and I got married here, and I hope my kids get married here. Like, the building itself can act as a type of Masonic family connection, um, without the necessity of membership, just the building itself. So I wouldn't doubt it, Wolf Shanza. I wouldn't doubt it. Well, I'm not going to get in trouble, Apple Tree. I'm not worried about getting in trouble. It's more I'm asking not to do it because of an obligation I took and my own personal heart, not not because I'm concerned about getting into trouble. And honestly, if I get into trouble, so be it. You should never do anything or not do anything out of a fear of getting in trouble. That's a silly reason to make decisions. You should do or not do things based on what you think is right at the time that you're doing them. So, going back to what I was saying, I'll also repeat the four. When I talk about Masonic family connections, number one, don't think exclusively father to son, and don't think exclusively the paternal side of the family. Freemasonry, in terms of families, can be passed down from the father to the daughter, can be passed down from a mother to a son, can be passed down from a father to a daughter, can be passed down from a mother to a daughter. So don't think Masonic family is exclusively male and exclusively like father to son. The second thing, don't think that family Masonic connections need to be elder generation to younger generation or older generation to newer generation. There are many examples of a son joining Freemasonry first and then the father joining afterwards. Sometimes even maybe a grandfather joining afterwards. So if you do not have any family connections within Freemasonry, don't think that you need to join. Don't think that you can't join. Just because there's nobody in your family who's been a Freemason, you can absolutely join. And then from there, you can absolutely talk to your family and your father about why you joined, and maybe you'll encourage them to join. But you can be the first in your family to join Freemasonry. It doesn't, and it's great. It's a wonderful thing to do as well. Don't think that you need to join exclusively in the same Masonic body or lodge as the older generation is your family. You can, and that's great. But if you move for work, if you move for family, maybe you just want to join a different Masonic lodge for any number of reasons, you can, and that can result in some incredibly special memories as well. I think that's a great reason, Wolf Shanza. Apple Tree, I'm not sure why you would say that. I think joining, whatever reason is you join Freemasonry, if you join because you have family, that's great. I mean, I joined because my dad was a Freemason. If my dad wasn't a Freemason, I don't know if I would have joined or not. Having family who are part of it is a perfectly valid reason to join. And again, we see a perfect example of what I was saying, right? As Wolf Shanza points out, it doesn't have to go father to son. It can go grandfather to son. It can go grandfather to granddaughter. It can go grandmother to grandson. No, The Fat Muppet. I mean, obviously, National Treasure's a fictional movie. It's highly stylized. It's highly, what's the word I would use? Hollywoodized. I've always said this before, when it comes to National Treasure. It's a quote from one of my favorite shows of all time. What's up, Christopher? Steve Jobs. Somebody of Steve Jobs said, "None of it happened. It was all true." And that's kind of the way I view National Treasure. None of that happened. There's no secret treasure buried anywhere. But it's all true in the sense that the feeling one gets of or from Freemasonry, I think, is very adequately and very well demonstrated um, through National Treasure, if that makes any sense, and kind of the philosophies behind it. I'm doing well, Christopher. I'd do better if people wanted to give me a 99-cent super chat. And trying to think of the last point I would make, if I can remember it now. And don't think Masonic family connections are exclusively about membership and paying dues. Many families have deep connections to Freemasonry, deep connections within Freemasonry, not because they're members, but maybe because they had someone else who's a member in their family and they volunteer to help out at the lodge at dinners or doing repair work around the building, or they use the building for a public event or a family event. Again, weddings. My grandparents got married here. My parents got married here. I got married here. And I hope my kids get married here. That happens in many Masonic buildings. Well, I always ask for little because I know how tight money is for everybody. Inflation, tariffs, etc., etc. So I never want to ask for foolish amounts and seem ungrateful. And honestly, this may sound strange, but obviously, the more money I'll take, the better. But even a 99-cent super chat is actually very helpful because it's a type of engagement. And as YouTube measures engagement more so than anything else, right? So if they see engagement happening within our streams, they're going to respond to it and post it and promote it. Not post it, but it'll show up on more feeds. So even 99 cents helps out majorly. You're absolutely right, Wolf Sanchez. A successful Freemason will be way more supportive with a supportive family. And that's also why we as Freemasons need during the application process, we need to be willing to spend more time talking with the families. And again, the families could be anything from, obviously, most people will think of, okay, brother and, an applicant's wife. And maybe in some cases, you'll think of an applicant's kids, if the kids are old enough to have questions about Freemasonry. I'd say certainly in their teenage years, if they're joining a little bit later. However, it's just as important if, let's say, it's an 18-year-old joining in a jurisdiction in the States, it's just as important for them to consider joining in it's just as important for the Masons to maybe talk to the applicant's parents if they still live at home, or their siblings if they're of the same age or a little bit older. The effect of joining Freemasonry is not exclusive and does not stop with the applicant and with the candidate. So, if anybody wants to send me $100, I'd be greatly honored, but it's absolutely not expected and not necessary. Like I said, even 99 cents is an incredible honor and would be truly grateful. And the reason I'm bringing all this stuff up is because today is my dad's birthday. So everybody take a moment, wish my dad happy birthday. He is 25 whole years of age, if you can believe it. Although, I make that joke. One thing I'll say is I read a quote once, never be upset about growing old. It is a privilege denied to many. And I think that's probably something valid in keeping that in mind. It is definitely a privilege denied to many. If you want to send me 100 punches, go ahead, but I guess my arm's going to be pretty sore after that. Gotta go. No worries, Jocelyn. Thank you for being here as always. Um, going back to reading this article again, every Mason understands that the foundation of our fraternity rests upon the principles of brotherly love, relief, and truth. This transformative journey embraces personal growth, spiritual development, and a deep commitment to serving humanity. However, we must recognize the indispensable role played by our family, spouses, significant others, friends, and loved ones. It is difficult to fully convey the significance of having such a support system beyond the walls of the lodge, and the immensely positive impact it has on our Masonic experience defies adequate expression. That's true, Dad. Family members' unwavering support and encouragement from the bedrock of a Mason's journey form. When our loved ones comprehend, support, and wholeheartedly embrace our pursuit of Freemasonry, it transcends being a mere extracurricular activity and becomes an integral aspect of our existence. Their support and participation can give us a profound sense of belonging and provides a shared platform to exchange our experiences, navigate challenges, and celebrate triumphs. The support of our families fosters an environment of trust and understanding, allowing us to fully immerse ourselves in the teachings and principles of Freemasonry. Moreover, these invaluable lessons extend beyond the lodge, positively influencing and enriching our lives on the domestic front. The embarking on this journey without the unwavering support, insightful perspective, and invaluable assistance of my wife would be simply unimaginable. A brother, friend, and mentor to me once told her after an event that she was a better Mason than most, a statement she jokingly retells almost any time I ask her to help with some new endeavor for the benefit of the craft. There are brothers in a small lodge where I've never met a member of their family, where their Masonry is for them and them alone. Some may use Freemasonry, the fraternity, as an escape from their home life, as an excuse to go out a few times a month with the guys. In my personal opinion, these brothers may be missing the essence and true purpose of Freemasonry. And to my wife, whose presence at barbecues, food drives, and toy drives, and even work details has meant so much to me, your warmth, love, and dedication have created a supportive environment that has allowed me to fully embrace the Masonic path. I am in awe of your willingness to lend a helping hand, whether it be an organizing fundraising initiatives or preparing delicious meals for lodge gatherings. Your participation has not only made these events more enjoyable, but I pray has also inspired other Masonic families to actively engage in the pursuit of our shared principles. So there you go. And that's okay too, Z. I guess that's something else. Hate from India? Well, hate from India, you should at least do a dollar super chat if you're going to hate me. Um, Not even 99 cents, a whole dollar. And that's something I should have mentioned as well, right? I talked about this a little bit. You don't need to have family Masonic connections in order to have a successful Masonic career or successful Masonic experience. And that can mean you have a family that's ambivalent towards Freemasonry. That can even mean you have a family that is, yes, super chat for hate. That can even mean you have a family that is, in some ways, anti-Masonic. Hopefully, what I always recommend to people, if that is a situation, but you still decide to join, and you're able to, kind of balance both, just by demonstrating to your family that you are a good person, that you're still a good person after you join. That can go a long way to kind of softening people's ideas about Freemasonry, including within your family. And you should never be afraid to talk to your family about Freemasonry and what it is you love about it. Or if it's a safer and better option, you can just not bring it up at all at family gatherings, which is fine as well, right? But it's not a necessary thing. I think it's important if a member is joining Freemasonry or an applicant is applying for the lodge to ask him about his family and just say, if the family is opposed to it, you're still welcome, but you need to understand that may cause you some tensions. But as Z says, sometimes they can end up swarming to Freemasonry, which matters as well. And I think that's a demonstration of you being a good person. Um, so, Aditya, I am talking about Freemasonry. I'm not talking about Zionism or Zionists, because Zionism and Freemasonry are completely different things. Um, Zionism would be a political kind of philosophy or order. I guess political philosophy. Freemasonry is not political. So, well, Freemasonry is not, or Freemasons are not puppeteers of the system either. I'm very sorry to advise. I mean, it would be kind of fun, I think, in some ways, if we were the puppeteers. Certainly my life would be more interesting, but, you know, it's a whole separate issue. So let me know, Aditya, why is it you think that we as Freemasons are puppeteers? I mean, it would be. That's one thing I think the best way we could deal with conspiracy theorists is just to let them join our meetings and see how incredibly bored they would get, how quickly bored they would get. I have no idea what you're talking about, Adita. I do not know what blueprinty is. I do not know what uptaken is. They would be very bored at the meetings, I can tell you that. Just like Apple Tree says. I'll be back in just 1 second. I just need to grab something over here. I'm not going too far, I promise. I'll be back in a moment. And I'm back. Had to deal with it. Something in my tooth is driving me crazy. I mean, they would learn how boring our meetings can be. They would learn that, which might disabuse them of some of their ideas. So, um, Aditya, let me know what your. I was born this way. Well, I mean, okay, blueprint for what? I mean, Freemasonry, there is no Masonic blueprint. There's different jurisdictions which have different goals and kind of ideas on Freemasonry. You know, it's not an elite type of thing. So I'm not really sure to what you're referring with that. There is no behind the scenes within Freemasonry, right? I mean, I'm nothing wrong with Muppet asking what happened to my legs. I think it makes a lot of sense. Why not ask what happened to my legs? If he's curious, that's all the better. Oh, they'd be very disappointed. Yeah, it would not be fun or enjoyable for them, that's for sure. I think they'd be grossly disappointed in how little they're actually, how little of what they think there is and actually exists, if that makes any sense. Um, it's way more fun to believe in conspiracy theories, I know, but you have to take my word for it. They're not real when it comes to Freemasonry. As I've been a Freemason since 2007, never seen anything that would indicate otherwise. No, I mean, apple tree, if the person is really young, then maybe they might find it awkward or kind of, they might not like to talk about it. But if you're certainly by my age, if you can't answer the question, then it's more on you than the person asking, in my opinion. It does keep things interesting. That's absolutely the case, I'm sure. Well, no, there's no elite club, right? Is what Z is trying to say. What I'm trying to say, right? There is no elite club of Freemasons. This idea that there is kind of a conspiracy theory. There are degrees in Freemasonry. There is a 33rd degree, but they're not elite. They don't pull the strings, right? They don't have any more power to vote, to push policy, etc., than anybody else would. So, if that makes any sense at all. I think the idea of an elite, that's one thing why when I'm always talking about Freemasonry, one of the things I always try to really emphasize is there's no international cabal of Freemasons. And the reason I try to one of the reasons why I try to push back against the idea of a single global entity within Freemasonry is because I think that's where a lot of the conspiracy theories come from. Because if you believe there's a single governing body that controls all of Freemasons, then it's easier to believe in an NWO. It's also easier to lump every Mason together. So if any Mason is ever caught doing anything not good, you can, cast aspersions upon the entirety of Freemasonry, as opposed to recognizing it's jurisdictional. I mean, black people can be Masons, white people can be Masons, Asian, indigenous. Freemasonry does not discriminate on those bases. Yeah, I'm not a believer in magic myself. Having said that, if you believe in it, then I think that's all the better, right? I think everybody finds those things that find them comfort and support. And I've known some Wiccan, Wiccan Freemasons. So certainly I know many Freemasons, or not many, but at least a few Freemasons who believe in magic. I am not Terrifier, but maybe if you give me a 99-cent super chat, who knows what I'll do. I would never do such a thing. How's it going, Terrifier? Thank you for being here. No, you cannot, Terrifier. I hope everybody's doing well. Please take a moment, hit the like and subscribe button. I hope that what I said about Freemasonry and family made sense. Interesting. 24 votes, 12 and 12. I mean, I'll put all the things I said in the description of this video, but again, just a few things to keep in mind. Family connection in Freemasonry does not mean exclusively father to son, nor does it mean exclusively on the male side. Freemasonry can be passed from a grandfather to a daughter to a grandson. Freemasonry can be passed down from a mother to a son. It can be passed down from a father to a daughter. Freemasonry does not mean exclusively the elder generation to the younger generation. It can mean the opposite way. Freemasonry does not mean exclusively Masonic membership. It can mean engagement with a Masonic building or Masonic lodge in other ways. And you do not need to join the Masonic lodge of your father or your family. And you do not need to have family connections at all to be a Freemason. You can join without any. And then I gave examples of all those. I enjoy watching people chat back and forth as well. HMET, hello. I think you've been here before, right, HMET? If not, please hit like and subscribe. And I hope that you will maybe even consider doing a super chat of just 99 cents. Would be greatly appreciated. I will not do that, Big C431, but what you can do is you can do a super chat. And it would be greatly appreciated. Z, did everything I said to you make sense? And I'm curious, as being, the first in your family to be a Freemason, how would you feel about starting your own tradition where maybe you have kids who join Freemasonry in some form, like even if you have daughters, they join Rainbow, something like that? Or do you think anybody in your family, since you've joined, would be interested in joining, like maybe a father, an uncle, a grandfather, a cousin, whatever it is, might now be more interested in joining Freemasonry? Well, Big C431, careful what you eat. I mean, I know some Freemasons who believe in numerology. I do not. And I don't know any Freemasons who use magic. Again, I shouldn't say that. I knew 2 Wiccan Freemasons. I didn't ask them about what they did or if they engage in magical rituals, but I'm assuming when I hear Wiccan, I think some type of magic, but I don't know exactly what they did. Hello, Magnus. How's it going? I like the idea that my son joined them away. Okay, cool. If you want to, Apple Tree, I may debunk your proof. I don't know. Oh, many people think I'm foolish. I keep talking anyways. Makes it more interesting. I mean, you're always welcome to shoot me a message. You can use Instagram, whatever it is. I have no doubt. I mean, again, I think it also depends what we're talking about when we talk about tariffs. Tariffs, geez. I was just thinking about the tariff negotiation in Canada, U.S. magic. Because, for example, Harry Houdini famously was a famous magician who was also a Freemason. There's actually a lodge out of California that is exclusively for Masons who are magicians. But obviously, in that case, they don't actually believe they're literally doing magic. Like Harry Houdini was famous for being very anti-spiritualism, anti-magic. He was a rationalist. He did not believe in anything supernatural. Harry Houdini famously, upon his deathbed, he gave his wife a word, which I guess his wife gave to others. And he did that to disprove psychics, because, his wife and then others would go to psychics and ask them for the word that Harry Houdini gave to his wife, and none of the psychics could do it. And that was a way to disprove psychic phenomena. Harry Houdini was always very strict. He was not actually, sawing anybody in half. He just was an illusionist. Who's disrespecting Harry? Yes, Kingdom of Heaven. It's a great movie. It's all about the Crusades. Actually, Mr. Keeps, you might enjoy Kingdom of Heaven. You might find it interesting. I really enjoyed it. Yes, everybody wish my dad happy birthday. I don't know if anybody's disrespecting my dad. If they do, then you are definitely put on timeout. They're asking my dad to fart, but in fairness, growing up, all my dad did was fart. That was half of our relationship, was me pulling my dad's finger and him farting, and then my mom getting mad at us. So there you go. I didn't know that, Z. I knew he was completely anti-spiritualism. Famously, and I like to bring this story up to remind people that Freemasons don't all think the same. So he was a Freemason, and Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, author of Sherlock Holmes, was a Freemason. They, at the end of their lives, got into a big fight because Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was a believer in spiritualism, and he believed in fairies and magic and all sorts of weird stuff. And Harry Houdini was completely opposed to that and thought by him promoting it, he was helping people get scammed by charlatans, which he was. Dad's not putting anybody down. All right, Apple Tree, though, we're just going to calm down here. I love you, Apple Tree, but let's do 5 minutes, because I don't think my dad was putting anybody down necessarily. Let's just do 1 minute. It is great. It is a great movie. I'm not going to ban anybody yet. I just put Apple Tree in a timeout. What's Fat Muppet saying? Other than fart like a real man. All I see is the fart like a real man thing. See, and my dad would have exploded if I hadn't pulled his finger. Better an empty house than a bad tenant. Oh, yeah, I just saw that up here. What's up with that, the Fat Muppet? Why are you telling my dad, you don't need to have a turn to speak. This is the internet. People can speak whenever they so choose to speak. Or they can put in the chat whenever they so choose to put in the chat, right? It's not as though they're talking over anybody. The Fat Muppet says he was just joking. All right, the Fat Muppet. I will leave you for now untimed out. I timed out Apple Tree. But the Fat Muppet, I'm going to take what you said as a joke. Even though it is my pops. So just always be careful. I was being ironic. All right, I can accept that because you seem to have been pretty decent so far. So I'm not going to ban you from the stream or anything like that or put you in timeout. One of the challenges about a stream like this, especially when it's 4 or 5 people, is It's very easy. Like, you can't always catch jokes and things like that. Having said that, it's my dad, so be nice to my dad. It's his birthday. He's 25 years old. Yes, he is my pops. And it's his birthday today. So you should be extra nice to him on account of that. Toik Mizan, how's it going? So, Fat Muppet, wish my dad a happy birthday. Yes, 25 years old. Well, Fat Muppet, wish him a happy birthday and say you're sorry or something, and you'll be fine. There we go. Happy birthday, Harry. Best dad in the world. I am from Saudi Arabia. Not really 25, Mr. Keeps on Ticking. I'm just making the joke. Because he's aging in reverse is the joke I always make. Saudi Arabia? Okay, welcome. I hope, Toik, you'll hit the like and subscribe button. Let me know how it's going and if there's anything that you want to talk about. Freemasonry, to my knowledge, is outlawed in Saudi Arabia. Having said that, I'm still happy to take any questions. And I did, I was in Dubai, where Freemasonry is also illegal or banned. I don't know what the technical term is precisely, but yeah, I'd love to learn, from a Saudi Arabian perspective, or Saudi perspective, you have any thoughts on Freemasonry. I am from Canada, born and raised in Winnipeg, currently live in Windsor. I agree. Canada is the greatest country in the world. I mean, I often say that, and I mention as well that we are the greatest country in the world because partially we have the greatest neighbors in the world. So, however, I mean, I try to always keep an open mind about every country in the world, even those countries that don't allow Freemasonry, such as, for example, Saudi Arabia. Why can't it be Israel and Palestine? Why must it be one or the other? I'm a member of a Masonic Lodge in Israel, Lodge Holy Land number 50. I love the people of Israel. I have a ton of concerns with the government and their actions over the past couple years and even before that. But that doesn't mean that I have anything against the people. You have to always be willing to separate the people of a country from the leadership or the government. I mean, for example, I am not a fan of Donald Trump. That doesn't mean I don't love the people of America, both my brothers and friends and family who live in America. Right? I can separate the government from the people. Even in a democracy, I think it's necessary to do that. I think you have to do that.
And the General Assembly support, we are.
Just a news report just popped up. I think so. Tawfiq, I don't know for sure. I think they may have. I think I at least remember reading something about that, but I have no idea on the details. The Fat Muppet, I would disagree with that. Well, it depends on how you define a cult. Right? In that case, because a cult, it's only in the last 200 years, maybe, that a cult has taken on ominous terms, right? A cult used to mean simply hidden, and it didn't necessarily have nefarious undertones, certainly not in the Roman context. So if you mean there's secret or private or hidden aspects to Freemasonry, then I would 100% agree with you. If you mean a cult in a more nefarious way, then I would 100% disagree with you. So I think it depends on what you mean by a cult and how you would define it. The Theosophic Society. I don't think think they were all Freemasons. I'm sure some were. Were they all Freemasons? I think it was a dependent body. Well, so definitely that is not the case, Fat Muppet. When you say all, that is not the case. If I recall correctly, and this is probably going to be incorrect, yeah, I don't think the Theosophic members were necessarily Freemasons. I believe, I'm probably getting this wrong, I believe 9 of the founding fathers were Freemasons. Let me double check on Google to get the exact number. How many, and I know Google's not the best, founding fathers of USA were Freemasons. 9. I was right. At least going to Google. So obviously George Washington, Ben Franklin, Paul Revere, John Hancock. I'm sure I'm missing some. So there were 9 Freemasons who were founding fathers. There is no definitive number. Let's try it this way. How many signers of Declaration of Independence? There were 56 signers of the Declaration of Independence. So basically 9 out of the 56. Or I think in some numbers I've heard 11 out of the 56. So you think about it, 11 out of 56, that's not a very high number. So that's, I guess, what I would say to that. Right. And I think in this case, Fat Muppet, what you seem to be doing is kind of moving the goalposts a little bit. Like first you say, all Freemasons, all founding fathers were Freemasons. We know that's not the case. Let's say 9 out of the 56 signers, 9 to 11. Then you say, well, all of them are into the occult. I don't know if all of them are into the occult or not, but being into the occult does not automatically make you a Freemason. I know many people who are into the occult who are not Freemasons at all. I know many Freemasons, most, in fact, the vast majority, who have no interest in what would normally be considered the occult. Define as you will. So, I'm trying to do this for a living, Tofik. So please be so kind as to do a super chat of even 99 cents. I've had a great number of super chats here today. So, and thank you to everybody who's done so. But I think one thing I've noticed, the Fat Muppet, and I think you need to be careful about this, and I say you, but not just you, a lot of people who kind of believe in conspiracy theories or certainly conspiracy theories about Freemasonry, very often you see words like all or none or whatever it might be. Like they'll say all of the signers were Freemasons, or all of the presidents were Freemasons, or all business leaders are Freemasons, or whatever it might be. And you need to be really, really careful about that, because when you start to think in terms of all or nothing statements, I think that can be very dangerous in terms of creating broad generalizations that don't hold up to kind of scrutiny. Can I say Kalb? I think so. Kalib. Well, I mean, the documentaries, you have to be careful because not all documentaries get it right. I mean, I don't think we know for sure, because not every founding father would have necessarily kept his Masonic affiliations public. But I mean, so the 2 numbers I heard was 9 founding fathers were Freemasons, and 11 out of the 56 signers of the Declaration were Freemasons. I don't know the 2 signers who are not considered founding fathers, but again, 11 out of 56, that is what is that as a percentage? 20%? Let's see if I can get this right. 56 divided by, oops. 56 divided by 11. Oops. Nope, I got that backwards. I hate math. Yeah, so that's about 20%. Right? And you could argue that still 20% of the signers being Freemasons is relevant, and it certainly is. I mean, I don't think there's any question that certain Masonic ideals impacted and promoted Freemasonry, right? The ideal of democracy, the ideal of what's the other words I'm looking for? The idea of democracy, equality amongst men, relatively speaking. Obviously, they had slaves, but still, it's one of those things where there's a level of kind of aspirations that you're looking at, right? But democracy, equality amongst men, universal ideas around religious tolerance and welcoming people of all different faiths and not having a state religion. I think the First Amendment, a non-establishment clause, probably in many ways came from things such as the Anderson Constitution. So I honestly, the Fat Muppet, we are less mysterious now than we used to be. Or sorry, I'm trying to think of I was trying to put it right. We used to be in the early part of our history, certainly in the early 19th century and early 20th centuries, we were not mysterious at all. We became mysterious. I think it was a mistake to do so, but we became mysterious primarily around the 1940s, 50s, 60s, and onward for a lot of different reasons. But in the last 20 years, there's been a real emphasis to once again make us less mysterious and make us more supportive of being open and talking about what we do and what we are and why we love Freemasonry. So there you go. I do think stones can calm the mind. I think stones have been a very important part of our history for years. If you look at from an evolutionary perspective, being stones were kind of critical in our evolution. What is so nice about being a Freemason? It's up to you to decide if you are a Freemason. I can't really speak to that because what every Freemason finds nice about being a Freemason is going to be unique to the individual. It's kind of like asking what's so nice about your favorite song. I can say, I love the lyrics, I love the words, I can say whatever I want about it itself. I love this about it, I love that about it. However, at the end of the day, you may hear the exact same song with the exact same lyrics, the exact same melody, and you may not like it at all. And I may see it and absolutely love it. And so it's a personal thing. There's nothing special about Freemasonry. There's also nothing special about Freemasons. But there is something special about the relationship a dedicated Freemason has with his lodge. For me, I love the fact that it encourages universal tolerance, respect of all religions, respect of all political views, respect of all beliefs. I think that's the greatest strength within Freemasonry. So yeah, there you go. But kind of saying what is so nice about being a Freemason, that's kind of like saying what is so nice about your favorite song. It's ultimately not about the song because you can hear the exact same song as me and have a completely different reaction to it. It's the relationship between the listener and the song. That's what makes it nice. That's what makes it special. And it's the relationship between the Freemason and the Masonic Lodge that makes it special. Just as Dad says, Freemason temples were visible to the public. They still are, right? So how mysterious can they be? A Freemason is a member of a Masonic lodge, Paul Danino. And a Masonic lodge is a civic or social group or social club that evolved from stonemason guilds in Europe in the 15th and 16th centuries. I've watched it twice, but I really enjoyed it. So it is not. Freemasonry is not a religion. We welcome men of all different faiths. I know Christian Freemasons. I know Jewish, Muslim, etc., etc. Yes, later start today. It was indeed. Started around 1:15 or so. But it's been going really well. Rondo, how are you doing? Sure, I love history in general. Usually, when it comes to history, my interests were always Greece and Rome, ancient Greece and ancient Rome, um, more so than the Middle Ages or the Crusades. However, as a Freemason, I do have a level of interest in excuse me, in certainly the history of stonemasonry and medieval European guilds. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say that, Mr. Keeps. There's definitely, I mean, I can't speak for stamp collecting, but there are, for example, collectors who are passionate about kind of collecting, but within a narrow content. So, for example, I know some people who love to collect, they'll say they're horror movie fanatics, and they will collect anything and everything about scary movies. They'll collect the props, the memorabilia, they'll get autographs. Then I know people who will say that they are super big fans of scary movies, but in terms of their collection, it'll be exclusive to like Nightmare on Elm Street, or it'll be exclusive to Friday the 13th. It'll be exclusive to one element within the bigger, kind of the bigger genre. And Freemasonry is the same thing, right? There are many people who are dedicated and passionate about Freemasonry, but choose to focus on one particular area of Freemasonry because it could be a matter of money, it could be a matter of time, it could be a matter of both. They may not have the money to join all the bodies, nor the time, and they'd rather focus on one area of it, one aspect of it. Um, that doesn't mean I'll never join the other bodies. And I think, honestly, one of the biggest mistakes we've made in Freemasonry amongst the different bodies is encouraging people to join everything, certainly joining everything right away and becoming absolutely exhausted, or some people having this belief, and you see this almost an elitism belief, that within Freemasonry, what makes you kind of more worthy to the craft is how many degrees you've collected or how many ranks you've got, which I think is really silly. And it's not true. People will act that way, but ultimately acting that way doesn't actually help anything. I mean, to me, what makes you important and what makes you matter is how active you are. You can be an entered apprentice and be of more value to a lodge than a 33rd degree Mason. If the entered apprentice is showing up regularly to meetings, helping out the lodge in social events and functions, volunteering to clean up the lodge after the meeting, right? All of that stuff makes you far more valuable than a 33rd degree. Um, and yeah, and that's not to say I'll never join, but again, even within stamp collecting, there are probably stamp collectors who just collect any stamp they can get their hand on. But I'd bet you money there are stamp collectors who collect stamps exclusively from, Britain, or collect stamps exclusively from France, or whatever it might be, right? I would not be surprised at all if that was the case. Um, I am 42 years old, Paul Danino. I do remember you, the FW Jaden. I hope you're doing well. To everybody watching this, FW, I hope you'll consider Paul Danino taking a few moments to do a super chat. Paul, when you say what is the purpose of just a social club, I mean, what is the purpose of any social club, right? Human beings have a natural desire to want to be part of a group, to want to be social, to want to be part of a club. From the time we're children, we create clubhouses and forts in our backyard. Um, by the same token, we may have a desire to create clubs as we get older. So it's human nature. It's human nature to want to be part of groups, and then you can try to gussy up those groups with all sorts of different things. If you can make a knitting club, you can play sports, you can join a movie club, you can watch movies every week. Like at a certain point, you find an interest and attach a club to it. But whether it's a club that gets together every week to watch a different scary movie, or to knit, or to open and close a Masonic lodge with prescribed ritual, it's all fulfilling the same purpose. Well, thank you, Paul. I try my best. Well, but I mean, even within the rituals, because I mean, even if I, as a in Ontario, joined every appendant body and every lodge that I could, I still would not know all the rituals because, first of all, there's different rituals within Canada, even though it's all emulation. But there's also Preston Webb. There's also Memphis Mizrain if I wanted to travel to Europe. Like, it would be impossible for me to learn everything. I like to think that I focused on what I consider to be the most important aspect of Freemasonry, which is the first 3 degrees, especially, because without that, nothing else matters. If tomorrow, and no offense to my York Rite brethren, but if tomorrow the York Rite ceased to exist, Freemasonry would still exist. If tomorrow the first 3 degrees ceased to exist, York Rite would go away, Scottish Rite would go away, and the Shrine would go away. Um, Dad, I love you. You're the best dad there is. I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a good dinner. I love you. Thank you so much for being here. You'll get your gift soon. It's in the mail. I'm going to send you the tracking number so you can keep track of it. Do you know what your IQ is? I do not. I'm assuming very low. Well, that's true. I mean, that would be true of York Rite. That'd be true of Scottish Rite. I mean, there's definitely a lot of aspects to our Masonic family that are integral, but in theory, Freemasonry could continue to exist because you need to get your first 3 degrees before you can join anything else, right? And I believe this is true everywhere. I'm not aware of any jurisdictions where this isn't the case. So if you want to become a Mark Master Mason, you have to get your Master Mason's degree, right? And for many years, well, not for many years, from 1717 to 1780, I think, I could be getting the date wrong. I mean, Freemasonry existed as 3 degrees without any appendant bodies at all. I mean, certainly York is an integral part of Freemasonry. I think Scottish Rite is as well. I think in some ways you could argue the Shrine doesn't get the respect it deserves for its integral part of the craft in terms of what it does for the charitable side of Freemasonry and the public-facing side of it. But the point is, I do think in terms of if I had to pick what is the most important and what is the thing, like if we don't have strong 3 degrees and a strong, well-attended, well-engaged Blue Lodges, York Rite is not going to make it and Scottish Rite is not going to make it, nor is the Shrine, because they're all getting their membership exclusively from the craft lodges themselves, whatever that's worth. Interesting, 57% to 43%. So the no's are slightly, well, yeah, I mean, that's true as well. For the first, I don't know what it was. I think it was the first 10 years or so of its existence. Freemasonry, well, when I say 10 years, 1717 to, I think 1724. Freemasonry was 2 degrees. It was the first and second degree. And then they added the third degree to it. I think it was the Anderson Constitutions. I don't remember. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of debate back and forth, and no one will ever agree, and nor should they. But no one will ever agree completely as to, okay, what is Freemasonry, right? And like, what is the true essence of Freemasonry and blah, blah, blah. And they don't have to, by the way, agree to the true essence of Freemasonry. However, from a numbers perspective and a growth perspective, nothing within Freemasonry can grow if we do not first and foremost have strong, engaged craft lodges, right? And I think, and honestly, there are some Masons who've dedicated their whole lives to the history of the first 3 degrees. You could probably dedicate your whole life to the history of just any one of the first 3 degrees. There are others who've dedicated their whole lives to every degree, plus appendant bodies, etc., etc. So, you have to kind of take it all with a grain of salt in terms of what you consider to be the most important, what others consider to be the most important, but also recognizing that you cannot overextend yourself. That's incredibly dangerous. Well, so I'll stick to the first 3 degrees. They represent the journey that a stonemason would take within his career. Because again, Freemasonry derived from stonemasonry. So the entered apprentice degree, which would be an entered apprentice, you're learning, you're brand new, you're studying the craft. Fellow craft, which means you're able to work and contribute to the craft, but you cannot mentor others. And then Master Mason, where you can mentor others. So there's those 3 degrees. It also can metaphorically represent, childhood, adulthood, old age in some ways as well. But I always, first and foremost, link it back to our stonemason forefathers. Well, when I say the craft, right, I'm referring to Freemasonry. So it involves, at its core, right, it's a social group, it's a social club. So at the basis, it involves meeting and gathering together. Um, I do not. Well, he can, but technically he's not supposed to, right? Again, it depends on the type of ritual as well. But generally speaking, if you look at the nature, like what is said in the ritual, certainly in emulation, the implication is, you know, and this obviously doesn't happen, but the implication is when you're an entered apprentice, you're not supposed to say anything really or contribute anything. You're supposed to just show up, listen, pay attention, and learn. When you're a fellow craft, you can contribute to the craft. You can contribute to meetings, but you can't necessarily train others to the same extent that you can when you're a master mason, at which point you can both contribute and act as a mentor to others. Now, obviously, there are plenty of examples of fellow craft mentoring entered apprentices. There are plenty of examples of entered apprentices mentoring other entered apprentices. Like maybe if you're an entered apprentice and you haven't got your second degree yet, but you've been learning your ritual, you can help somebody who's a newer entered apprentice learn the ritual. That stuff happens all the time. But in theory, the whole idea was, fellow crafts are able to engage in work, but are not necessarily at the place where they can supervise others. But it's not really practiced that much. I mean, Wolf, Shanza, I don't know if it's the duty, if I put it that way. It's certainly something, an opportunity they're provided with. I think it's an implied duty. It's not explicitly stated that if you're a master mason, especially if you're not an officer, you must, supervise and train those in the lesser degrees. But it's certainly implied that you can, and perhaps that you should. And I would say if you're a master mason, who's like a worshipful master or an officer, it's probably more expected of you. What is the nature of reality? I don't know. I wish I did. I'm happy I get to experience it, I guess. Eel for real, thank you for being here. I do not know what you mean by JK, but Paul, Eel, I hope you guys will consider doing a super chat. I'm less than $1 away from $30 on this stream in Canadian funds, so help a brother out. I'm going to give you, let's do the stream for another 5 minutes or so, because then I do have to get ready for some work tonight. But thank you to everybody who's been here so far. I truly, truly appreciate it. There you go. JK is referring to JK Rowling's. I mean, people have asked about witchcraft and magic before, so maybe we're getting that in this one. All right, guys, thank you so much. I hope you all had a great day. I'm going to be ending this stream now. I'll talk to everybody again shortly. Should be back on 1 a.m. tonight, if not 1 p.m. tomorrow. All right, guys, have a great day, and I'll talk to you all soon.